So just very quickly, before we get into the video, I've got a question to ask you in the comments. I've been having a think about these portfolio updates, and I've been wondering whether to continue doing them as separate platform portfolio updates, or whether you would prefer just to have like one video including like a total portfolio spreadsheet. So rather than splitting out what I hold on different platforms, sort of saying like, okay, for, I don't know, Johnson & Johnson, I might have a holding on free trade and a holding on trading 212, but this is the total that I hold in Johnson & Johnson. Hopefully that makes sense. So let me know in the comments below what you'd prefer. Should I keep all these sort of portfolio updates separate and going through the apps themselves, or should I do like a spreadsheet that kind of just summarizes everything? Yeah, let me know. Once again, been way too long since I did one of these, so I'm just going to jump straight in and start with the invest account and then go into the Icer. I've added £1,700 since the last update, so let's just quickly go through and I'll show you what it's looking like. So first on the list is AMD. So again, if you remember, I got this as a free share and then people kept telling me to look into it and hold on to it, which I did, and I'm happy I've done it, although at the moment I am quite down. I do think this is going to be a bit of a theme for this video. A lot of my positions are down, partly because the stock market is kind of going down at the moment, and partly because of the foreign exchange impact. So it basically seems like a lot of my gains are being wiped out by the foreign exchange impact. Not something I've experienced before, so it's quite interesting to see the big fluctuations in the currency. But anyway, AMD, 3 shares, no change since last time in terms of my holdings, so still holding 3 shares, currently down 14.2%, but you can see actually that 4% of that is the FX, like I mentioned. I really like this feature in Trading 212, that they strip out the FX impact, but it is quite depressing as well. Google next. So I've got 0.059 shares here, which is about £90 and currently up 17.7%, which is nice to see. Although you can obviously see at the bottom there, the FX impact again is minus almost 2%. So thankfully the gain overall in the stock is higher than that. With this one, I've added a tiny little amount, 0.02 shares added. Amazon next, so down 10.3% on this one. 3% of that is the FX impact. I've added even less to this one than the Google one, up 0.01 shares. So these two I've just sort of added little bits when I've had some money left over. AstraZeneca next, I've added half a share here, currently down 15.4%. So it just, you can see the graph here, it is just tumbling down, which is why I've been adding very tiny amounts here just to sort of average out the price. I'm gonna hold and see what happens. I do think that they will recover, but we'll see. I do get that people are panicking when they're seeing everything go down, but I'm just seeing it as a chance to buy more. So hopefully if you're new to investing, you're not going to panic and just sell your positions, because when they recover, you'll just end up buying in at a higher price. Beyond Meat, no change here. Again, 0.39 shares overall, currently up 1.2% overall. But actually, had it not been for the FX impact, which is massively dragging it down, I'd be up a lot more. So small amounts, so it doesn't really matter, but it's just interesting when you look at it in percentage terms, how much that FX actually impacts it. Ishares Core FTSE 100 ETF next. So I've added 4.2 shares to this one, currently £200 in here and up 2.2%. So not too bad. Obviously currency isn't affecting this one because it's a UK holding. Another ETF next, so Ishares Electric Vehicles ETF. I've added 5.3 shares here, currently down £2.94, which is 4% down. A little bit of the FX and a little bit of the gain and loss. Like I said, big theme here with everything currently tumbling down, but no need to panic. Johnson & Johnson next, so no change in this position here, still holding 3.8 shares worth £430 at the moment, with a 0.65% return, which is like £2. But you can see here the FX impact on this one is insane. It is basically completely wiping my whole gain or loss, which is like, that's really depressing when the stock itself is actually up, but it's just the FX that's completely wiping your gains. I don't know whether anyone has any kind of like tips on almost hedging against the currency fluctuations. It's not really something I've looked much into, and I remember FX being something I absolutely hated when I did my chartered accounting course. So yeah, just let me know if there's sort of anything you think about. I'm not saying I'll do it, but it's something I need to potentially just have a think about. Microsoft next, so no change on this one, 1.76 shares sitting at £295 and currently 1.3% up overall. But obviously, once again, you can see it's the FX that's dragging it down. National Grid next, so I've added 26 shares to National Grid since the last update. So I've currently got 71.3 shares sitting at £590 and currently down 5.2%, but their dividends are solid. They are at 5.86% dividend yield, and I recently got their dividends and it was really cool to see a much bigger number than all my other holdings, so pretty happy with that. PayPal, no change at all. I'm not really happy with PayPal as a service lately, so I've not really wanted to invest more in them. So just sitting at 0.133 shares, £23, nothing special. Moving on, Pfizer next. Added about half a share of Pfizer, so 1.95 shares, currently at £48.64 and down 11.5%, of which about half is the FX impact. Plug Power is next. You can see here it's massively dropped from the big gains it had last time, but I'm still up 31%, which isn't too bad. It's just a bit depressing because last time it was like 170%. But yeah, added 0.2 of a share here because it dropped. So currently up 31.5%, which is £32. Starbucks next, so I've added 0.13 shares here. So currently sitting at 1.46 shares, which is £111, and currently up just under 0.5%, with again most of the gains being wiped out by the FX. Tesla is a new addition to this one, so I've held it in my Icer for a while. But I decided to put it into this portfolio as well. So I put in about 50, but obviously it's currently down 10%, which means my return is down £5. Unilever next, and I've added just under 2 shares here. So currently 18.19 shares, sitting at £707, which is down £101. So 12.5% down, again, tumbling down with the rest of them. Okay, so let's have a look at the Icer next. So in the Icer, I've got £2,772. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the pie that I invested in last time. So the daily dividend pie, you can see here I'm up 1.29%. So that's about £12.90. I got about £1,000 in there. So because there are so many holdings here, I'm not going to go through all of these individually, but same as last time, I'm just going to put them up on the screen so you can see, and you can pause if you need to. But you can just see overall the distribution here of what I have. So not too much in each company, but it has been working. I've been getting dividends most days. They are tiny amounts, obviously, because each holding is tiny, but it has been pretty cool just seeing them coming in. A few of the holdings that are in this pie I've already sort of got myself as well, but I am going to go through the individual holdings that I have myself in a second. But yeah, if you're interested in sort of daily dividends, I recommend that you look into this pie and see what you think. So with the Icer, I've added £1,100 since the last update, so a few more updates on this one than the last one. So AbbVie first, because there's no update on this one. I've not added any more to AbbVie. sitting at half a share still, £42.88. And the return is 13.8%, which is pretty decent considering -5% on the FX. Apple next, I've added 0.1 of a share to Apple, currently sitting at 0.89 shares, and that's £78, down 7.7% at the moment. AT&T is up 0.24 here, still down 2.29%, £26 overall, so not a massive holding here. So not too much to say about that. You guys know I'm all about just sort of whizzing through stuff. I don't waffle on, I don't like waffling on. So the next three you can see on the screen here. I'm not going to go into them individually because there's been no changes and there's no point going into all three because they are very tiny holdings, but Comcast, Dover and NVIDIA Partners, very small holdings, all very tiny percentages up, as you can see, with Comcast being the largest increase. So I'm quite glad I moved from investing into AT&T into Comcast. So the biggest increase for me this month is Realty Income. So I've added 10.5 shares of Realty Income, so currently sitting at 21.68 shares, which is £938. So currently down 4.5%, which is a small percentage obviously, but because it's one of my larger holdings, it seems like a lot of money because it's like £45 down. But I'm a big fan of Realty and I'm going to keep adding to my position with them. I'm not too worried like I used to be. I think I was quite worried with sort of properties and all of that kind of stuff, but no longer worried about their future. So that's why I kind of added a big chunk here, especially with the monthly dividends. And then finally, I have added 0.24 shares into my Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. So 6.14 shares here, £315, and down only 0.7%. So overall not too bad. But as you can see, pretty much most of my positions are currently down, and I'm getting a lot of questions in my DMs and things and in Facebook posts just saying like, what should I do? What do you think? You know, everything's down in the red, and just don't panic. I've said this before on a few panels, like I think a lot of people, when they're new to investing, they see all these things tumbling down and they're like, oh my God, I'm losing all my money. And, you know, most of the time, the majority of investors just see that as an opportunity to buy more. Just see it as a sale. You know, if you genuinely believe in the company, if you invested in that company because you've done your research and due diligence, oh my God, I can't speak. If you've done your due diligence, you know what I mean. If you've done your research and you're confident in your investment, then don't worry if it's tumbling down. You know, I haven't batted an eyelid. I'm not worried at all about the current downturn. I'm like, how can I get more money to put in? So try not to panic is basically what I would say. Just make sure you're confident in what you've invested in. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully it's been useful, and as always, appreciate any constructive feedback and let me know about those portfolio updates, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.